Today was a day of minor annoyances all day. I don't like to complain. I'm trying to make the best of things, but every now and then you get a few dumb things all stacked up in a row and they get to you. But I'm not gonna let it get to me. But last night was the start of it, sort of. I was parked and comfy for the night in a Canadian Tire parking lot, and then a big rig transport pulls up and parks about 20 feet away. And I don't mind. He's probably a regular, probably stops here on his route all the time, but he left his engine running all night, idling. Just a low rumble that I thought I had found a quiet spot for myself, and this guy comes in and his truck rumbling all night. It wasn't very cold to speak of. I can't see him needing to have it running to have the heater on all night like that, but it was just minorly annoying. And then he started it up at 6 in the morning, woke me up early, and well, I went back to sleep after that pretty quick, so it's not a big deal. I shouldn't complain about it, but it peeved me a little bit, so I'm gonna rant about it here a little. I was there first. And then it was raining when I woke up, so I waited that out for a little bit with the kitty cat before deciding, like, we gotta make some miles today. We can't hide from the rain all day. And then right after I got on the highway, I realized the gas tank isn't very full, so I had to pull off the highway and find a little gas station to fill up at. So, couple of false starts, little inconveniences. I shouldn't complain as much as I do about it, but there it is. And then, when we stopped for gas, the weather seemed to get nicer for a minute, and it could have fooled me, because only minutes later it was raining again, and had to pull over a number of times today to wipe water off the lens of the camera, because I want to have a little bit of driving from everywhere that I go. So, yeah, just minor little annoyances that stack up on you. So we headed off towards Terra Nova National Park, which looks just beautiful for what I got to see of it driving through. Didn't didn't check out too much of it along the way just because it was raining and I didn't want to deal with getting out and getting soaked just for having a walk. We did that in one spot early on the path to this spot here called Blue Hill Lookout, which was a nice little spot to get the kitty out for a 10-minute walk, and we soon got back on the trail. It was off and on rain. We got rained on while we were out at the lookout and then got back to the truck and it stopped. So just a back and forth. The there were some signs at the lookout saying that it's the highest point in the park and you can see for miles in all directions, and that you can see out to the ocean where there's often icebergs if it's the right season, but visibility wasn't much with all the fog. We were right in a cloud pretty much. So we got back down to the highway and started off again. When I was stopped, I took a little look over the state of the truck for a minute because I honestly haven't paid close enough attention for the last few thousand miles. And my one tire, the front passenger side one, is looking pretty bald, which I can only blame myself for because when I did work to the underside of the truck and I changed the tie rods, I I did my own alignment, which turns out not to have been as good as I thought it was, seeing as that tire's wearing out pretty bad just in the one spot along the outer edge of the tread. So I'll have to deal with that soon enough. I'm gonna need to get snow tires for it for winter soon enough, anyways. Which I might look around in St. John here for a set, because I don't know, I might have to deal with some snow going home through Labrador and Quebec, even though it's still pretty early in the year. It's pretty far north, and I might end up dealing with some snow, so I might see if St. John being the biggest city, they'd be my best bet for finding tires, I suppose. So, little things like that. Just, you take your eye off it for a little bit and it could become a problem. But we kept going down the road. We didn't stop anywhere else in the national park, but it does look like a beautiful spot to check out on a different trip, or if someone else checked that out, I'd recommend it, yeah. So yeah, just rainy, dreary day, and we get we just finally get moving pretty good, and I'm enjoying myself, and then we come across a construction zone, and it's just a traffic jam. Just an absolute traffic jam. Slowed to a crawl for a while, whole pack of us, which eventually just rolled to a stop. I shut the truck off. We got stopped for so long. And I started to notice some people in the line ahead of me turning around. We stopped so long that the camera dried off on its own. So sitting there, I started wondering, all these people lined up, dozens of cars both directions. I kept seeing people turning around and going back the way we came. Kitty Cat was nice and comfy anyways. But yeah, we barely got moving and made it maybe 20 car lengths, just enough to get deep into the construction zone where it looks like they've diverted the road and they've built a embankment and a new bridge there. So yeah, the fact that construction season overlaps directly with the tourist season around here is an annoying fact to have to deal with. We crawled slowly and slowly, and I just was getting really tired of it all. Spent a good 45 minutes in this tiny little stretch of road until I saw someone way, way up ahead back out of the lane, turn around, and come back the way we came. So I started wondering and looked at my map, and the roads here are a big triangle. I was heading south toward Clarenville, but if I backtrack and go around the triangle, maybe that'd be better than waiting so long. Yeah, because when I saw that person way, way, way up there turn around, I thought, if it looks hopeless from where they are, it's definitely hopeless from where I am. As I was going back through this great big lineup of cars that had accumulated behind me, I started really wondering, like, what the heck? Who is organizing this mess? They were only letting cars through from the other direction. Like, they let a handful of us move forward a little bit, and then nothing for half an hour. Couldn't take it anymore. Backtracking and going around just made more sense. Going through that line of people, I even tried to signal to some of them, like, with my hand, turn around, like, you might as well from here. There's different roads to take, and that mess is gonna be a long time getting through. So I quickly made it back to the ramp that I wanted to go around the triangle, and started wondering to myself why they don't have a detour set up back here to begin with. Seems like, well, later on in the video, we find out why they don't have it set up that way, but in my head, in the moment, all I could think of was, who the heck is organizing this, and why didn't they set up a detour back here? So it was easy enough getting around through here, barely anyone on the roads, but I soon learned why they didn't set up a detour through here. It's already pretty rough roads, and if they sent all the traffic around this way, they'd end up with two broken roads instead of one. It was rough enough, and all the extra traffic over it, they'd be fixing this one before they're done with the other one. So it really wasn't that far out of the way to go. I think it took 20 or 30 minutes for this little detour, where I was sitting longer than that, just at a dead stop, listening to the radio and waiting to move and losing hope. I got some pretty nice views around here of this bay as I went, so the detour was alright. I'm glad I took it. Though then I came around this way and found out the main bridge over this river here that I wanted to take is also closed. Seems like the main reason they didn't run a detour this way, which I guess makes sense. So I ended up on this other side road that takes an even smaller bridge across the little river. And this side road turned into a one-lane track. Just one lane, only going one direction. Just not a good way to get around, but it's the only way to get around. So that's what I did. There was already quite a few people behind me by that point who figured it out as well. Little neighborhoods that we drove through, probably wondering why the heck so busy all of a sudden. Then I finally got to the town of Clarenville, where I just ended up tired of the day here and had enough. I didn't know where I'd end up for the night, really. When I started my day, I thought I might stop somewhere in the national park. But for right now, I'm just parked at the local Tim Hortons and relaxing. I shouldn't get stressed out over tiny little annoyances, but they all added up to me wanting to just stop for a bit and relax. The Tim Hortons here looks out over a really nice view, so I backed my truck into the parking space, and with my back window open, it's not too bad. I'm looking out over a bay and an island called Random Island. Funny ways they have for naming things around here. When I saw it on the map that it's just called Random Island, It's just a funny name for a random island out in the bay. Pretty nice view other than the tops of these roofs, but this is where I am for the night, and it's alright.